Ciao ragazzi, this is Katie Portanova, and you're listening to Florence and Me. I'm a lover of stories and all things Italian, and I'm going to bring you all that in this podcast. My intention is to inspire you to step out of your comfort zone and explore life and travel the world. Join me as I tell you my story and many others about Italy and my love, Florence. Andiamo! Ciao everybody, I'm back again. I've got a curiosity of Florence today. There's so many, and I love them all. So today is about the so-called profile of Michelangelo. Have you heard about this? If not, it's okay. It's a really hard thing to see unless somebody points it out to you. So the legend goes, before I tell you where it is, the legend goes is that there's two legends, according to my book. Michelangelo actually created and sculpted his profile himself with his back turned. So he didn't even know what he was doing. Somebody bet him that he couldn't do it, basically, is the legend. And then he did it. They don't know exactly if that's true, obviously, because that's a legend. The other legend is that Michelangelo was passing through Piazza della Signoria, which is the piazza in where this profile is, and he happened to see one of his debitors under the Loggia dei Lanzi, and this is where they would be condemned to death in that area, and found out that this person was apparently being hanged or killed because of his debts. So he saw the person, this debitor that actually was his debitor, and went up to him and started yelling at him and saying, what is going on? And he was being scorned by all the townsfolk and everything. And Michelangelo then approached one of the soldiers that was guarding him and asked him how long would he remain in these shackles. So he wasn't being put to death. Sorry, I misspoke. How he'd be shackled to the wood. And he shook his head and he's like, no, wait, that's too short. So he wants them to remember him forever, like all the Florentines to remember this guy, because he was apparently a terrible person, because whoever collects debt is probably not the nicest person. I think of always the Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood. So with that, he started carving this debitor's profile into the stone on the side of the Palazzo Vecchio, so that we'd always remember his face for many years to come. And so it's incredible because it's still visible today. So if you're walking up, I'll tell you where it is now. If you're walking up to Palazzo Vecchio, and the fake David, which is not the real David, is on your left, and there's another statue on your right. If you walk behind that other statue on your right of the door, you'll see it. It's like probably, it's because Michelangelo, I assume, as most Italians are, was quite short. So I don't think it was very high up there, because I remember seeing it perfectly at my eye length, and I'm 5'4". So yeah, I will be writing a blog post about this so you can see the actual picture of it. But it is really amazing how he was able to do this, if he did this, because again, legend has it. But yeah, that's one of my little tidbits for the day. When you do come on one of my retreats, I try to bring you to some of these little trivia places where a lot of people can't see unless you really look for it. The other thing I was going to bring up another curiosity, which is a short one. There was there were a couple big floods in Florence back in the day. One was in 1333, and then one was in 1966, which was we have pictures of that. You can look that up on the internet and stuff. That was the most horrendous one, because we have like footage of it and like how much damage the flood did to the city and to all the works of art and books and stuff, because the main library for Florence is right along the Arno, so that was really devastated during this flood. But there are plaques throughout the city that show where the floodwaters rose to. So my favorite place to point out is Santi Apostoli, my favorite church, which is right near the river. And it's in this little piazza, and there's two plaques. So one is from 1333 and the other one's from 1966. In 1966, guys, the church was completely underwater. So that's how high it was. So you could see these all over Florence if you look hard enough. And if you have a tour guide like myself, they can show you where they are, because they're all over the city, that show how high the water was. It's incredible. So usually the plaque says something like how high the water went, and then also the date, or actually just says the water of the River Arno reached this height. That's basically what it says. It doesn't say the exact height. On November 4th, 1966. So yeah, it's crazy, like all the things that you can find in the city of Florence without even actually going into a museum. So keep your eyes peeled when you're in Florence next time. You might see one of these plaques. You might see something. You might see the profile of Michelangelo. Who knows? Allora, all for today. That is all for today. If I finish my sentence. Allora, buongiorno, buonasera, buonanotte, wherever you are, and have a fabulous day. Ciao, a presto. Ciao, ciao. I am beyond grateful for you listening to my podcast right now. I am so excited to share my journey of living abroad and all my stories of Florence and Italy and all the places in between that I've visited. If this has reached you in any way and you would like to continue, please subscribe now. Also, go check out my website, trulyitaly.tours, for all my travel experiences. Ci si vede. Ciao.